How's it going, my fellow Amish ninjas? I am the original Amish ninja, and I got a new mic. And today we will be going over Shatter Cauldron, Factions and Power System. Let's get into it. We shall begin with the Silverwatch Guild. What are they? They're hunters of witches, sorcerers, and beasts. Situated in the eastern half of the barrier-confined country of Zaltia, the Silverwatch Guild exists to protect all of the unpowered citizens of the country who have migrated within the walls of cities like Karista, Organdi, Briggs, and the holy city Brigandeel. Smaller settlements within Silverwatch's jurisdiction include the Nori farmlands, the roadside Polk Inn, Hilton Village, and the town of Cradle. Within the Silverwatch Guild itself, there are three distinct regiments, and they are the Crimson Convocation, the Onyx Committee, and the Golden Parliament. These are signified by a red eagle, a black vulture, and a golden owl, respectively. The city of Karista is where all prospective hunters are trained, and from there, hunters who have passed the enlistment exam can elect to join the Crimson Convocation or the Onyx Committee. Only select career hunters are allowed the rare chance to join the Golden Parliament. To explain the regiments in detail, the Crimson Convocation is made up of hunters who are often stationed in smaller settlements in order to bolster their defenses against attacks by witches, sorcerers, and beasts. The collective term for all three of these is heathen. Within the Crimson Convocation, there is a subdivision known as the Silent Nest, and it's these hunters whose responsibility it is to scout into uncharted territory, to take back what was stolen by heathens long ago. The Onyx Committee is made up of hunters who act as a police force within the larger cities like Karista, Organdi, and Briggs. They too have a subdivision known as the Piercing Beak, whose task it is to apprehend or even execute hunters who have gone rogue and betrayed the guild. The Golden Parliament is the highest authority in all of Silverwatch territory, and the bulk of their ranks are stationed in the holy city Brigandeel. There are two subdivisions within the Golden Parliament. They are the Judicial Overseers and the Titanium Guard. One of these is responsible for passing judgment on criminals, and the other serve as the elite fighters, answering directly to the commander of Silverwatch, Mark Hammond himself. An extra note about the Golden Parliament is that one of their ranks is stationed inside each and every holy cathedral within the big cities. Said holy cathedrals are considered extensions of Brigandeel and not part of the cities they are located in. When you set foot in a holy cathedral, you must follow the laws as they are enforced in the holy city Brigandeel. As previously stated, most of Zaltia's non-magic population resides safely in Silverwatch territory. This includes, albeit to a lesser extent, the smaller settlements like Nori, Hilton, and Cradle. Sadly, Silverwatch hunters are trained to deal with heathens overall, and this resulted in much difficulty dealing with the sudden emergence of a vicious pack of cannibals known as the Hunger, who are in part made up of individuals who have learned to use soul instrumentation, the primary skill used by Silverwatch, one which is ordinarily only trained within their ranks. The only explanation that makes sense is that a traitor to the organization is responsible. Alright, now that we've talked about the Silverwatch Guild, now let's get into the Boiling Pot Coven, heathens and spreaders of chaos and misery. They have fully taken over the western half of Zaltia. Their influence is so strong even the laws of physics have been altered in their territory. They are led by the Grand Witch, Angela the Hag, who is over a century old yet maintains the physical age of a highly attractive 25-year-old woman. Serving as her direct underlings are the Bloodied Womb subfaction. They consist of 7 immensely powerful witches and sorcerers, and 1 informant, who is the only regular person in the coven. These 8 individuals, in order of rank, are the following. Dev the Wizard, Angela the Hag's right hand. Nolan the Jester, the trickster of the Damnation Trio. Dominic the Dominant, the strong arm of the Damnation Trio, Hornet the Insect Queen, the tactician of the Damnation Trio. Vane the Scarecrow, stationed in the Strawman Forest. Cameron Dyer, recruiter and lycanthrope. Jackson the Inferno, dealer of punishment to traitors. An unremarkable man, in quotations, Angela's informant. Each of the Bloodied Womb, minus the informant, have their own underlings who serve under them. Upon the defeat of Jackson the Inferno, this setup is altered somewhat, as an unremarkable man is granted leadership over the underlings who were previously assigned to Jackson the Inferno, despite him never utilizing them while he had command over them. The Black Sheep Pilgrims are the next faction. You don't need to know yet. Alright, now that we've gotten the factions out of the way, let's get to talking about the power system. The true name of the overarching power system of the story is an endgame spoiler. But I will reveal the two main applications of this power system now. Soul Sacrifice. Not to be confused with, soul sacrifice. Sacrificing the disembodied souls of others allows for the triggering of otherwise improbable phenomena. This ritual is called Cauldron of Darkness. It has one other name, but that's a spoiler. Cauldron of Darkness works like this. The disembodied souls of others are spent outright as if they were mana, a magical resource I'll touch upon later. After that, the one who spent the souls will verbally announce their desired effect or outcome. A common practice is to say the name of the ritual, Cauldron of Darkness, before announcing the desired outcome, because some believe this adds potency to the desired effect, but this has never been proven. For every conceivable outcome, there is a soul cost. Here are some examples. To gain a temporary boost in power, the soul cost would likely be 1 soul. To destroy the entire planet, you'd necessarily need trillions. There is no way to determine the soul cost of any given outcome until an attempt has been made, because the souls needed as per the soul cost will be spent and any leftovers get converted into mana. Little side note, I should mention this document is a little outdated, because I have since changed how this works. Updated canon is, if you don't have enough for the soul cost, then negative energy strikes back at the caster as a result. And if you have too much, then the remnants get converted into mana. Alright, so now we move on to soul partitioning, the other application of this power system. Separating a piece of one's own soul and harnessing it as energy allows for the triggering of phenomena unique to the individual. There are two distinct practices of soul partitioning, and they're used by either Silverwatch or the Boiling Pot exclusively. Hunters versus heathens. These are known as soul instrumentation and magical affinity. Soul instrumentation. A severed piece of an individual soul is installed into an object of sentimental value to the user, and as a result the object assumes the form of a soul instrument, a weapon imbued with magical power. Soul instrumentation is used primarily by the Silverwatch Guild. Magical affinity. A severed piece of an individual soul is concentrated in the mind, resulting in the creation of mana from the piece of soul. From there, mana can either be spent outright to cast a spell unique to the individual, or it can be implanted in a non-living object and alter the nature of the object. These also have evolutions. Soul instruments and spells can evolve into a second stage. Think of a Bankai from Bleach. For soul instrumentation, this is called a soul icon. For magical affinity, this is called a magical eruption. A soul instrument becomes a soul icon when a user installs their entire soul into their weapon, which is a technique that only masters of the skill can muster. The user of the soul icon must take heed not to misplace their weapon while it is active in this state, for traveling too far from it will result in death in all cases. A magical affinity becomes a magical eruption when a user masters the skill. Magical eruption has a steep mana cost, and if not enough is in reserve, the user's soul will be consumed to make up for the remaining cost. This has a high chance of resulting in death. So, while I don't have it written down in this document, again, this document's kind of outdated, there is a secondary power system that is much rarer than this one. Its true name is also a spoiler, but I'll explain it verbally what it does. In the context of, like, you know, characters' spoken language and their vernacular, it's called enchanting. And the protagonist of the story, actually, is a technical user of this power system. So far, the first power system I talked about, the one that includes soul sacrifice and soul partitioning as separate applications of it, that power system is power derived from souls being spent. Power with a cost. The second power system is power that requires no cost. But to make up for this, and you know, because people would be like, well, that's kind of busted, ain't it? Yeah, and the way I've decided to balance that out is to have a very, very small group of characters even be capable of using it. And within the chapters of Shatter Cauldron, there are only 3 characters who utilize it. And basically what enchanting does, right? It allows you, if you're a user of it, to add a foreign property to an object, inanimate object. You can add a property that an object didn't have previously, and now it has that property. And I take it back that this power system has no cost. There is one thing that you could consider a cost, and it's that you gotta have perfect knowledge of how object properties work. If you want to give a rock, for example, the properties of rubber, you have to understand what those properties entail. You need to know that an object needs to have elasticity. It needs to have an enduring quality. It has to be malleable somewhat. I would say those 3 things are generally thought of when thinking of the properties of rubber. But there obviously are way more than that, and for a user of the second power system to be effective in using their power, they have to understand the properties of things to a microscopic level. Well, anyhow, this has been Shatter Cauldron Factions and Power System Explanation. I look forward to seeing your thoughts in the comments, if you have any. I am the original Amish Ninja. If you like my content and wish to see more, hit that subscribe button. If you like this video, leave a like. Hit that bell, all that other YouTube jargon. And with that out of the way, peace out.